You doing Tyler the Creator tonight?
Am I doing Tyler the Creator tonight? Pause. What?
Tickets up there.
Oh, they are? Then I just might. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it.
Y'all odd Future boys.
Bro.
Hey,
I'm
yo,
telling you, that album,
Buddy spit.
like,
Did he?
Not on that album, but like.
Oh.
this last album was like
I don't know why. I guess he
Yo,
just really
this is
really
Love.
weird.
This is Love Below and that Childish Gambino on steroids.
Is it?
Bruh. On steroids.
Bro, I had never listened to a whole album, and this one, they came out on Friday, like they always do. I didn't listen. I listened to everything else that came out that day, and avoided listening to that one. And I was like, let me get this thing a spin, bro. I'm telling you.
I have no idea.
It's different. It's different, but it's like a
You'll
good
have no
different.
idea what you in for. And then the concert, if he's doing the concert like how what I saw from the because he put it out on Apple, the actual concert, boy.
That was when he did that festival, like the New York Governor Ball.
Right.
I don't know if he'll get that crazy with it, but it's in State Farm, so we'll see.
I'll check it out.
You all right? I grabbed all of them.
No, I'm not going to concert.
Grabbed all.
Yeah, they had.
Nah, usually if I'm going to somebody's concert, I've already listened to their music.
I got you.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to go experience that at a
I ain't never
Oh,
did that
yeah,
either,
nah.
but I would be open to doing something.
Honestly,
like that.
though, I don't know if it'd be your bag, though, anyways. I think you'd be like, oh, hell no. What'd you send me to?
Yeah. But I'd be open to doing something like that. That's like a dive in head first
Right.
type of way.
That
Like,
Chris Brown
one.
concert looked crazy yesterday.
they had the tickets.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't gonna go, but it just
I wouldn't either,
from all the
yeah.
footage, it looked crazy.
I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to be a grown man going to see Chris Brown.
Nah,
36.
like we was all on the same page.
Talented dude.
Yeah,
I'm
no
not
doubt.
Great,
No
great
doubt.
artist. Great artist.
No doubt.
Probably it would have been a good spot. Well, if you single to meet a lady.
Good people watching spot.
Oh yeah, real talk.
Going sightseeing.
You
in
know
my
they
own
came
city.
out for that.
Check. All right.
Bouncing with that drop. KCP in the middle. Bounce, Larry. Throw that baby down. Oh my goodness. What hard? Are you kidding? With some anger.
Kyrie get out of that double team.
With the hip fake. What a move by Hakeem Olajuwon. Levine, he goes right. Boom! Does anybody know how to post videos?
Welcome back in to the Drop Step Podcast, episode 34. I want to say thanks to the fine folks at Shaq Food Radio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Home team Brandon Leak. Got the B-Dog Brandon Harper. What's up, B-Dog? Yo. We got Book the Hook.
What's
How you
happening?
doing, Prime?
I'm cool.
And we got Houston. How you doing, brother?
Hello, fellas. How y'all doing?
We're going to be here just mixing it up and getting to what we can get to as we have some interesting stuff as preseason is upon us. Training camp kicks off for most teams around the NBA and media days come and go. We'll get a chance to talk about an old school art form, diss tracks, and beef. We'll get to that. We have an old coach showing up on a new platform. We'll get to that. Pay for play doesn't only impact people playing football in college, but also folks in basketball. We'll get to that. Somebody needs to put a stop to these all-time rankings. And the Atlanta Hawks get ready for an interesting season in Lloyd Pierce's second year. And I think that's where we'll start. You know, everybody's talking about the infusion of more young talent. This will be one of the youngest teams in the NBA. And ultimately, you don't achieve your top goal of becoming a championship organization until you get the right amount of veterans, until your superstars get into their primes. So this is really, I think, the first year, as I'm looking at it, of the Lloyd Pierce experience. They cleared out the roster, got rid of all of the folks that were in the old regime, and now they completely start year two with a very interesting, very athletic, and very, I think, exciting group of young Hawks.
I see this team to be a little bit better than what most people are going to give them credit for because of all this young talent that they're putting together. I'm really excited for this year. Like, this is my team, and I'm really trying to hold back shooting for the stars yet because, like you said, it's brand new. We only have, two older players, if you would, and Evan Turner and Vince Carter come back for his final year. So, and from going to the media days, what I heard a lot of was that they're going to be there to basically make these guys better professionals. It's not necessarily what they're going to do on the court. So, yeah, it's a building process. We're in year one of it, I guess, at this point.
Get your money together. Go ahead and buy this stock right now because it's not too late. Last year was the year to buy the stock, but it's not too late to buy it now. The Hawks on the rise. Definitely. Just like you said, like Trae Young is lining himself up to be a top-tier point guard for years to come. All the pieces that they're putting around him, they fit. I think the only thing that we're really going to run into this year is the process of cohesion, like letting them all build together and figuring out how they're going to work together moving forward. But they got talent in the building. Like they got talent at the head coach position. They got, the correct leadership, so they got the right pieces. It's just going to take time. We on the right track. It's just going to take a minute.
Did you realize that Jabari Parker was still only 24 years old?
They got youth, man. Like I wouldn't have signed him to 2 years, but
why not?
Why would I? Like to prove it.
All right, I'll put you like this. Jabari Parker, yeah, he's at a proven point, but he's been injured a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
So at this point where he's actually really healthy, you put him in the right situation where now this is as close to what I guess the Spurs have done and what teams do, that selfish ball, almost like what Bud Ball was before. The ball can be spread out to everybody. Everybody's a playmaker. Everybody can handle the ball to a certain degree from 1 to 4. So,
no doubt.
And all you could do is just create stuff. So I think for him, he could flourish in this because it's going to leave wide open spaces for him to just do natural, fundamental things.
Let me break the bank for him.
Let me take that back. I'm not opposed to giving him a 2-year deal. I wouldn't have given him a player option for the second year. It would have been a team option. You prove it. You got it in place. We'll keep it riding. I wouldn't have given him a player option because he ain't got to prove nothing then. Necessarily, and he hasn't proven. Don't get me wrong, I like him as a player. I just wouldn't have necessarily given him a player option the second year.
I think one thing about this team, and I talked to Alan Crabb about this at Media Day. It's so many guys who can play positionless basketball now, to where you got your 6'6", your 6'7" guys who can play the multiple positions, which will vote well for them defensively. Obviously, y'all know that the two that I'm really looking at are the rookies to see how they mesh well with Trae and John, and that's DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish, to see how those guys fit into the mold. I know that Coach Lloyd Pierce is going to bring them along slowly. He's going to be careful with them because the whole team is young, period. But these are the younger guys of the young crew. So I think he's going to wean them in slowly. He knows there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but I think he's also excited about the youth and the ability to get up and down the floor to where they want to.
I think it's a situation where you have a team that's really flexible for the coach. You're not going to play physical basketball because physical basketball is not played anymore. So they've drafted to the style of the NBA now, and they have some players that can get up and down the floor. Your coach already showed us that he wants to play at a high pace, and so this is going to be one of the I don't know how they're going to score, but they're going to be one of the teams that are getting them up and getting back down the court. So that's going to be an exciting style. How do guys improve? And I think, Jabari Parker and Evan Turner, some guys that have been in the league for a while, they're going to be able to be interesting for me when the games get to the second half and the fourth quarters when there's 6 minutes to go. Are those guys going to help you win games? Because ultimately you want to see more wins. You won 29. What's the number for the Hawks? 33, 35, 38, whatever. But those guys, the Jabari Parkers and the Evan Turners, the young veterans that I call them, those are going to be the guys I think that are going to make the difference if the Hawks make the leap they want.
Those guys are also being brought in to help kind of bridge for those rookies to walk across. They're not there to be major difference makers. They're there to provide more leadership, more guidance outside of Vince Carter, because obviously, Vince is a lot older than even those guys are. So he's only one guy. So you have other guys like Jabari and Allen who are young enough but still have experience in this league and have seen things and say, hey, check this out. This is what you're doing wrong. This may be what you need to correct. So they're guys who can relate to those young guys because they're not old, but they are 5, 6, 7 year veterans who've seen a lot over the years. So they're bridge gappers. Very good players, but they're bridge gappers.
I love the makeup of this team because, like you pointed out earlier, home team, with it being so positionless, I was sitting here trying to think of the players on the Hawks roster right now that have defined positions. And there are really only two that I could come up with Trae Young and Alex Len. Trae Young is a true point guard, and Alex Len is a true center.
That's it.
Outside of those guys, everyone else has multiple positions. You can either play
basketball.
2 to 3 other positions. So they're building a team that's for sure within the mold of 2020 NBA basketball. So they're on the right track. It's just going to take them a little bit of time. So I actually think that they may not do as well record-wise this year, but I think that they have a better compiled team and talent in the building. But they could hit some hiccups to where they don't win as many games as next year. So it should be interesting.
And I think the city has patience. I think this city is gonna have a lot of patience, because I think they're just excited about what's to come years down the line, what this is going to be molded into.
I think what we'll see out of this is they'll be close in a lot of games.
Right.
And where these role players that we've been talking about, they're going to do their part to actually keep us in more games than not this season. It's going to fall on the John Collins. It's going to fall on the Trae Youngs. It's going to semi at moments. Let's see what you do, Rook, Cam Reddish or DeAndre in those key moments, clutch moments in the games, because it's really on them at that point. If we're in a game where it doesn't matter who it is, whether you say it's the Rockets or whether you say it's Orlando, if we're in a game and we're only down by 5, those 1 or 2 guys are the ones who got to step up in those moments. That's what we're really here to see at this point. If they step up more than not, you're going to find yourselves looking at a Hawks team that's in the playoffs. I really think so. Now, they might not have the mental makeup yet to make a big run in there because you don't have the necessary superstar type of talent yet, but that's exactly what we're building right here. Trae Young is supposed to be that superstar for this team, I think.
Is it a disaster if the Hawks don't make it to the playoffs? They're in the lottery again.
That's not a disaster because, we're in the lottery again.
Yeah, I don't think so.
From a realistic standpoint, you can't expect them to make it. I don't expect them to make it. It would be nice if they did. And honestly, it would be nice if they didn't, because honestly, if it's between an 8 or throwing my hat into the lottery, we saw how it shook out last year. We saw how the lottery shook out last year. So I'm not mad if we missed the playoffs by any extent.
I'm just glad we don't have to actually watch them try to tank at this point. Just play ball, and I can accept whatever the outcome is at this point.
Yeah, I think if we just looking at it, you can name 6 teams that are probably going to the playoffs, and so in the East, the rest of the East will be vying for the last 2 playoff spots. Milwaukee's going, Philadelphia's going, Boston's going, Toronto is going, Victor Oladipo when he gets back, Indiana's going again.
This is where they got the best team in the league.
Brooklyn, they're going. So Boston is going. What's left? You're down to 2 spots. Can you be better than Orlando was last year? Can you be better than Detroit?
Could you be Orlando this year? Could you be them? Could you be the new Orlando?
Why couldn't you?
Ooh.
I think those are going to be things that keep the fans engaged, and certainly the last month of the season make basketball relevant here in Atlanta.
That 7 to 10 seed range is going to be real interesting with teams like Detroit and I think like maybe Miami, us. There's teams right there that really, if they want to get in there, if they feel like they have the pieces, they're really going to be pushing for something. And yeah, like you said, it's going to make for real interesting basketball.
I mean, truth be told, last year we lost a handful of games. I can think of at least 3 to 5 games that we lost, 1 possession games that we were in that we lost to playoff caliber teams.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily counting those as W's this year just because we're going to have some new faces in the building. So no telling if we're going to even be in those games this year. But just based off of that alone, we can see that, I don't expect us to go backwards much farther, But other teams, they've retooled and recalibrated too. So should be a great season coming up.
And I think that's also the recalibration of a lot of teams in the league is going to help the Hawks, because now you have a little bit more what looks like parity, where you got certain guys going different places, where it balances out more. You have competition of some sort coming in every single night to provide you a test. What are you made of?
And there's so many teams right now really that everybody has to figure out who they are at this point, because everybody's different and everybody's got key pieces that they're just bringing in. So you steal a few games early on and you really can find yourself into that hunt, because later on in the season now everybody's done caught up. So it's going to be interesting.
And the Hawks didn't have John Collins for 16 games out of the gate, so they were down one of their best players. And one of the things I asked Coach Lloyd Pierce Friday when they had their media day with he and Travis Schlink, what is evolution of John Collins, and he said sometimes progression is not necessarily what you're looking for. What you're looking for is consistency, and I really appreciate him saying the words. He said if he's 19 points and 9 rebounds again, that's exactly where we need him to be.
Who's complaining?
I
don't know. Exactly.
When he put that mark on, I was like, okay, yeah, we know what the goal is now. Yeah, this guy is a double-double machine.
He's going to average a double-double.
Be consistent with that throughout, and we're good. Yep.
Am I being greedy by wanting double-doubles averaged by both of these guys?
Well,
meaning John Collins and Trey. That's what I want.
That's what he said for both.
He said he wants 8 assists for Trae Young, and he probably could have had 9 because there were plenty of times where he made the right decision and guys missed shots last year. So he said 8 for him, and if he's, over 18 points, you got 2 guys that are bringing it every night. Now it makes it easier for everybody else to know what their role is.
I'm going to keep it real. I want 20 and 10 from both of them. I want 20 points, 10 rebounds from John. I want 20 points, 10 assists.
That's very feasible.
I agree. I don't feel like I'm putting too high of expectations on them based on what I've seen throughout their careers up to this point. I want to see a jump. I do want to see a jump, and we're going into year 2 and 3 where it's expected.
And I think with the added talent and the talent shaping out the way we think they could, I think you could – those extra 2 rebounds, those extra 2 or 3 assists, I think he could get that.
Extra 2 or 3 buckets that we know he can get. Yeah. It's going to be nice. It's going to be real nice. Another piece was DeAndre Bembry that I'm looking forward to this year because him and John Collins are actually the longest 10-year Hawks that we have right now. So he's been put into a leadership position even from coming off the bench last year to where, you are that guy who brings us a lot of energy. Like, I've been on him since he's been on the team, but I don't know how y'all feel about, he brings a different type of element to this team.
He's a spark plug.
Yeah. Now,
spark plug.
First game of the season last year, I was texting my homeboys. He's got the ugliest game of every Hawk. But he grew on me more than any other Hawk throughout the entire season last year. He grew on me like a tumor, bro. Like, I love his excitement. Like, no other player plays with the energy and excitement that he does, which is appreciated. I don't know how much longer he'll be a Hawk throughout this season.
I think because he understands, there aren't many guys in the league like him that understand his role.
Exactly.
And are good with the role that he plays. I'm not trying to be anything less. I'm not trying to be anything more. I know what the Hawks need me to do.
I'm not going to lie. When he was answering that question, I did feel like, he wants to be a starter this year because he was talking about the fact that, okay, it was agreed upon. Yeah, Coach Pierce likes him more off the bench, but that was his role last year. I think he's got his eyes on trying to start this year, and I don't think he's going for anything less.
Nothing wrong with competition.
But we're going to see how them young boys develop, though, too, around them.
But that's just it. I think it's going to be a little tougher because when you bring in 2 top 10 guys who a lot of people are expecting to be into the starting lineup, if not at the beginning, at some point in time during the season, you kind of either stay where you are or you move further down the depth chart as, if you really kind of wanted to start, your chance was last year. This year, I don't think you have as good of a chance because of the added talent.
If Bembry starting, something went wrong.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, something's very wrong.
Ooh.
Something went wrong. Right. Somebody got hurt. Somebody's out extended. If Bembry's starting, something went wrong.
You're right. Hey, y'all, we got plenty of ways for y'all to check us out. So make sure that you go subscribe on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or even Shaq Radio, which plays our podcast every Wednesday and Saturday night. You can also catch us on the YouTube channels for the Drop Set Podcast, 680 The Fan, and Atlanta Sports X. And last but not least, make sure you check out the Drop Step on IG, Twitter, and Facebook.
This hopefully will get right at the California voters. They got together and they sent a bill and they got something passed and the governor signed it. So it will be in law 2023. The Pay for Play Act will be enacted as law in California, saying that student athletes can use their license or their likeness rather and make money off of it. And I think a lot of people are focusing on the football aspect of it, but really it trickles down to all sports in college, including basketball. So it'll be interesting to see. You already see a lot of states already scrambling to follow suit. South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, New York. There are a lot of states already trying to get behind California so they can get the laws on the books and, basically have a stare down with the NCAA to see if they're going to have their rules amended and changed. My question is will it keep guys in college longer? How will it impact the NBA? Because, again, these things don't impact the cream of the crop per se. Obviously, a star player, Zion Williamson, probably could have made millions had he been able able to use it and profit off of his likeness last year, but he's already going to make millions with a shoe deal and be the number one pick. Those that aren't the cream of the crop. My question is, will this have any impact on the NBA? Maybe guys stay a little bit longer who might be on the bubble, because you have to wonder how many guys leave because of the potential of money that they could make either playing professionally overseas or in the NBA, and if they might stay in college a little bit longer, if they can make a few chips, use their college platform to help bolster their game, and then decide to go to the NBA later.
Well, if you're talking about how is it going to affect the guys coming in now, let's look at what the first round picks the first round picks would really be. There only like a handful of them are actually going to be stars that would have been able to make millions off of their endorsement in college. The majority of those guys are still going to get the majority of it coming straight into the league. So I don't see it affecting 1 through maybe 10. But
I'd say, to your point, maybe 1 through 3. I think
okay,
Zion,
I'm really being
Barrett.
generous. Yeah,
I don't think DeAndre Hunter. He kind of made his bones in the tournament. But those two guys, they were Duke guys. They're on national TV. Outside that, I don't know what Jackson Hayes. Now he does have a money machine at Texas, so using his likeness there in his state would get him.
But that's all you have to do. You don't have to be a national player to make money off of your likeness.
True.
If you're at Texas, all that money that the alums bring in from Texas. Now, I understand it's a football school, but basketball has done well as well.
Shout out to Shaka.
Shout out to Shaka. If a big oil tycoon or a guy that got deep pockets wants to sponsor, I always use a car wash, for example, and he wants to put up so much money, or I'm going to send you, or a car salesman says, I own this dealership. I want you to do this commercial for me. I'm going to pay you X, Y, and Z. It doesn't have to be a national thing for me to make big money, depending on where I am.
Right.
So some guys it's going to be a national thing. Some guys it's going to be a local thing. But guess what? Them guys going to be making some money.
I never thought about it like the way that you said it, home team. Like, will this keep players in college longer? I hadn't thought about it like that before you just said it.
The guys who didn't get picked.
Right. So my initial response, just a snap opinion on it is yes, it will keep players in college longer, just because I'm getting a check. I know where I'm getting a check. I'm cool here. I'm at school. Not only am I getting an education, I'm getting the benefits of an education, and now I'm getting a check as well. The NBA will be there.
And how about if you know you're not ready?
Especially
you bank it on yourself, and you're gonna gamble on yourself. But if you were a sophomore and you came back for your junior season, I'll use a player we used to cover here in Atlanta, DeMarcus Simons for Georgia State.
Good one.
If he played maybe 4 years, maybe his senior season, he might have a better chance to get drafted. But if he has some other things and other people personally that he has to take care of, he's got to make a decision whether to not get anything as of right now or put his hat in to the NBA draft and lose all of his eligibility. I would say, what if he can make $200,000, $300,000 from sponsorships, or do some cameo videos, or do a YouTube show on his off day and get sponsorships, and then he could stay? Would that make him better, and would that make the NBA better if a talent like that is at his peak performance when he's ready to be drafted?
Absolutely.
Yes, and yes.
Yes.
Now, the other side I did want to bring up, do y'all think that these states aren't just rushing to do this to try and go at bat with the NCAA? I think it is because of how this is going to affect recruiting. Because if you're only able to do this in a certain amount of states, that's where everybody's going to want to go to in order to have this option. So a state like Georgia, if you went to bed on this, or if you sit back in this too long, what's going to happen to your recruiting when the guys are going out to Alabama or North Carolina or Tennessee or something, because that state decided to go ahead and sign.
Well, at that point, if you look at college football, Justin Fields left the University of Georgia. If this law is in place, does he go to Ohio State, or does he go to USC or UCLA if he can go and get some money off of his likeness? And so Ohio needs to get to the polls and talk to their local lawmaker.
I'm telling you right now, this is going to get passed a whole lot faster than legalizing marijuana. Okay,
shout out. Cali always sets the tone. Cali is always 20, and this one they're 4 years ahead of their time on this one, man. Like shout out to Cali, Prop 420, and now this. Shout out to Cali.
It's not a surprise. California is a very open and liberal state.
Right.
Absolutely.
Where the last people that are going to come around to this is the South.
Which is funny you say that. Kentucky, South Carolina, and Florida,
SEC
already,
schools,
to his point, don't want to lose out on recruiting.
SEC schools,
they know that's their revenue driver.
Not lose that money.
These colleges are their revenue drivers,
Right.
so they need to be in that conversation in order to keep that money train coming.
So I saw something on Twitter, and I don't think it's a coincidence, but it was funny. They said this act is going to be in place in 2023, right? Guess who's going to be either in college or eligible to be in college?
Bronny.
Oh, God.
Get out of here.
The rich get
my
richer,
son,
boy.
hold on. You mean my son? My son is going to be in 2023. That's my son graduating class.
You're telling me that this is just not ripe for the picking. Before he even, matter of fact, while he's on his recruitment process, because everybody's going to be recruiting him, there are going to be people say, you know what? I got $500,000 I want to give you if you go ahead and commit to this school right over here. And that's just committing. We didn't even talk about
No, you can't do that, though, because that's actually trying to pay the player to come.
Get it, but
then
guess
they
what?
can't do
Guess
that.
what?
But
you can't.
That's
do
happening
it,
already anyway.
You can't do it, but I'm not saying it won't happen.
Yeah.
But see, he's one of those unique guys that kind of like Zion Williamson, wherever he goes. First of all, he comes in, he's the son of one of the GOATs. So wherever he comes in, he is going to be different. And those that are different always, and talented, always going to get a little bit different
Does
treatment.
he even have to go to college? Can he go overseas?
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to bring up. Like, we're talking about this getting passed. What about the NBA finally saying, all right, you ain't got to go to college anymore. Come straight to the NBA. This all will be more affected because of the fact that these states now can pass a law saying that these college kids can now make money.
This issue has so many different facets to it, and like
It
different
has so many
dominoes
so many
falling.
legs growing off.
Man,
of it.
it's crazy. I think this is gonna be good in the initial stages of it, but it's going to open up so many other issues that kind of trickle down from it. I will say this though, another good thing that this will make happen is those players that are considering staying in college are clearly the players that should stay in college. If you even consider staying in college for money, then you clearly don't have the talent to move to the NBA in the first place. So what that's going to do is make the NBA a better NBA, because at that point we have developed players playing against developed players.
I think to your point, we're probably going to have to be, I think what the NCAA should do is get up off of their butts and start to get proactive. Why don't you hire some younger people? Because to your point, Book, there are some things that are opened up because you can make money off of your phone. You don't have to necessarily go to a restaurant and stand out and sign autographs now to make money. You can make money from your dorm. You can make money if you had your own YouTube channel. You can make money for getting a certain amount of clicks. There are some things you do have to work out. I don't know if the NCAA or schools want Pornhub sponsoring their best player or have a liquor sponsor. So there are going to be some
shout out to the Hurricanes.
There are going to be some things that you have to have boundaries for. But when you have change, you can also modify your rules as new things that could be problems come in as well.
Shout out to the old American Airlines Arena.
So I think it's good. I think it'll be the next couple of years. I think the NCAA needs to hurry up about this thing because they have bylaws that say you cannot be a member institution if you have athletes who get paid for their likeness. So I think they just need to modify their rules.
I just want to see the NCAA shaking.
I love it, man.
I just want to see you. I want to see you break out a sweat. I want to see you panic. I want to see you flustered. I want to see you walk around like you don't know what the heck is going on or you don't know what you want to do because you've had ample amount of time to try to figure this whole thing out. The state of California said, you know what? We ain't waiting on y'all no more.
I'm going to call your bluff.
I'm going to call your bluff. Here's the act. Oh, I ain't think they were serious. What we going to do now? Oh, we got to fix this. Oh, ain't no
now
fixing.
it's a few of them.
Yeah.
Kentucky trying to, oh, goodness.
Wait till Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Lord.
wow.
You don't think Saban and those guys are saying, hey, whoever's in charge, y'all need to change these laws right now. We don't need other states stealing any of our recruits at any point. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing accelerates. I'm getting a little tired of these polls, the greatest top 10, top 20, top 100, because it's always somebody's opinion. There's no way to validate it, and all you're going to do is get people a little bit bothered, especially when you have all-time greats behind people who are playing right now.
Ridiculous.
I don't know where you want to start. I mean, I got the top 15 right here. We can reel them off right quick. All right.
Who's top 15?
I was going to ask you if you're going to do it from top to bottom or bottom to top, but honestly, it don't even matter. It's so thrown off.
Okay, well, we can start at the bottom. We'll start at 15 because I think we'll get to the most egregious thing quicker than we started at the top. 15, Kevin Durant. Off the back, number 14, we got Kobe Bryant.
Objection.
It's invalid.
Throw the whole list out.
Go home now.
Throw the whole list out.
Go home.
Shall I continue? 13 got Akeem the Dream Olajuwon.
Dream shape.
All right.
12, I assume they meant David Robinson, but they have D. Robertson, which makes this list even more invalid because you can't spell.
Throw the whole list away.
Grammarly.
You don't remember Dwayne Robertson? Yeah, he was the
Look,
colonel.
man,
He
look,
wasn't the
I
admiral. He was the
don't care
colonel.
about nobody cousin who played a couple of minutes in the league. Now they didn't put their cousin on this list. 11, Oscar Robertson. Entering the top 10, Steph Curry is number 10.
I don't like it, man.
No one in their right mind, better shooter, yes, but no one in their right mind who knows basketball would ever think Steph Curry is a better basketball player than Kobe Bryant.
They better not.
A better basketball player. Okay, but this is why this list, for one, top 15.
You got some objection?
Because I'm wondering, what do you mean by top 15 players of all time? What is, because honestly, Kobe needs to be.
Say it.
Kobe needs to be higher. You're right. But I still might want to put. All right, I'm not gonna do it.
You know what? You know how we came in through a door. You can leave through that same door.
Curry's not better than Kobe, but I think he's still up here in the top 10.
I got a problem with putting active players on. There are only a certain. Kevin Durant, active player.
Why?
LeBron James, active player.
But Kevin Durant's better than Steph Curry.
I agree. Hold on, let me finish. I agree.
Fewer titles.
Unanimous MVP, my brother.
He's got finals. He's got fewer hardware
Unanimous
pieces
MVP,
and fewer
my
titles.
brother.
How good is he?
Get to the end, and then I got him in there. I just need him to be. I need Steph Curry specifically.
5 straight, bro. He went to 5 straight, bro.
I need his career to end in order to put him at that point.
Why?
Because the other people that we're having this conversation about have surpassed him as of today.
Not everybody.
I'm not saying that he won't pass some of those people ahead of him.
But
as of
these
today,
people who are on this list right now, he's surpassed as well, though, even without his career being over. So
Where's
why
Wilt
can't
Chamberlain?
That now
Wilt Chamberlain's number 9.
He's number 9, so he's right above Curry. Now I'm putting Wilt a lot higher than 9, but like I said, Kobe for me probably would be Kobe gonna be probably number 9. If I got to put a number 2, yeah. Because I'm not really mad at the top 10 outside of the fact.
There's no way.
I don't think. Man, y'all gonna kill me.
Where's Dr. J?
Y'all gonna kill me.
He's not on this list.
He's not even on the list.
It's time for us to go
Throw
home.
this away, man.
We gotta go.
Man.
How's Dr. J not on the list?
Not on this list. He's somewhere. He's somewhere in the
made this?
100. But he's
Whose
not on
list
top
is this?
How old is the writer? Because there was basketball before the 1990s. Just for those who haven't seen that, there hasn't been basketball played since before the 90s.
Well,
so
this is through Bleacher Report, so I assume
they gotta know. They gotta know that though, because they did put Bill Russell on here. I mean, they did put some people who didn't play in the 90s.
If Julius Erving is not on the list, we've got to go home. All of us.
And this is my thing.
15.
We're chatting about this earlier. Like I'm the person that I have only seen so much footage of someone like, say, a Bill Russell or say a Wilt Chamberlain. I've only seen so much. I've heard stories. Like I've heard, my dad talks about how awesome they were and stuff. But me, myself, personally, I've never laid eyes on them. But I know that those were great players. Certain things when it comes to comparing those people that I haven't seen with people that I have seen with my own eyes, I try to stay out of that, but
the NBA's all-time leading scorer, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, retired 30 years ago and never made a three-pointer. So there are other people who played before the 90s who were great.
I got a question. Is Kobe Bryant better than Larry Bird?
I don't know.
No.
He's got more rings.
He got more rings. I don't think he's better.
I'm going to say yeah.
And this is not me being biased, but I'm going to say yeah, too.
I'm going to say no.
As a basketball player, I think Kobe Bryant is a better basketball player than Larry Bird.
Man, Larry Bird said, I'm going to play this whole game with my left hand. and did it.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, bro.
Wait.
I'm
If
sorry,
you want to talk
bro.
about playing with injuries, if you want to talk about a player playing with injuries, the man he had a broke nose and wore a mask. He had 2 of his fingers taped together and played better injured sometimes than he played healthy.
They also were different positions, and the game was different. Kobe's a shooting guard, and Larry Bird's a small forward. So they're different players in different eras. And Larry Bird did average a double-double, 24 and 10. He wasn't just out there shooting three-pointers. It was 24 and 10.
I want your take on
I
this.
don't think Kobe Bryant averaged 10 rebounds a game.
Me and B-Dog were talking about this earlier.
I don't think he averaged 5.
He definitely couldn't average 10 assists a game.
If you put Kobe Bryant, if you pluck Bill Russell out of history off of that Boston Celtics team,
right,
and put Kobe Bryant on that team,
they'd win.
Yeah, I think
unfair.
Without a doubt they would win. Like, would they win more than they won with Bill Russell?
But the league, and that's in the era
completely different.
There's only 8 teams in the league. That's another thing. How hard is the trek to get to the final game?
Right. That's part of my point. Like different times, different circumstances.
It's also evolution of a man, period. Because at one point in time, all that we could draw was a stick figure as a person, and now you can make stuff. You got Picassos and stuff like that.
Nah, that was just folk who couldn't draw.
No, I'm talking about seriously, just how you develop as a person. We saw how Larry Bird played and stuff, and you develop from that, and then you add on to it.
Yeah,
you can't put
evolution.
You can't put Kobe Bryant in the time machine and say put him with Bill Russell's team instead. Yeah, because Kobe Bryant gonna look like an alien to these boys, like doing some of the stuff that he was doing, like because it wasn't even thought of to be able to. You couldn't even dream to move like that at that point in time.
I guess my ultimate point is it's just difficult to compare different generations of basketball. To your point, just like you said, it's the evolution of basketball. And honestly, just to keep it 100, like some of these great basketball players I'd never seen.
Like if there's one guy on this list that and he kind of started the evolution, especially with guards being the focal point, that's MJ. He's the one whose game, no matter who you compare him to, especially in today's time, his game is comparable to any of the guys in today's time because of the way that he played.
Okay, and the game was played because point guards used to dish.
He was the first. He was one of the first 2 guards to where you start building the team around that guard, to where he became the focal point.
Dr. J wouldn't have been that. I think that's more Dr. J, and then MJ. MJ became the master of it. He became the face of it. But I get that more to Dr. J.
Okay, and I guess Michael put it on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. But so all right. Here's a question: who's the top shooter of all time in y'all's opinion?
Steph Curry.
So automatically, you have to put if we're talking about a game that only has 5 positions, the top person at shooting has to be in your top 10.
But if that's the case, then if he's the no, because we're talking about overall players. He's good. He's great.
He's a player of the game. He's a player of the game. He was the best at doing that. I think that.
Because if that's the case, at one point in time, Ray Allen should have been on that list. But I've never considered Ray Allen.
Okay, but you got your spot took. That happens, right? That's how lists are done. And eventually, you're going to lose your spot.
Even though Steph was a better, would you say in their primes, I guess, as a player. Now, Steph as a shooter, I get it. But as an overall player, was Steph Curry better than Ray Allen?
At doing more on the court, no.
Oh, Steph is a better shooter than Michael Jordan, but is Steph a better player than Michael Jordan?
Okay, but if that's the case, I could break down all that type of stuff, because then if that's the case, well, Shaq can't do everything that Michael Jordan can do on the list, or like people that are on the list, they're gonna be better at something. They're gonna dominate at something that's putting them on there. Steph, he got his. Shaq, he got his. He was the most dominant man in the game ever. Right. So he's got to be a top 10. Michael Jordan, he was the only person we ever said was the best player, the greatest player of all time until LeBron came around.
That's two more better than LeBron, but go ahead.
I'm saying, but those are the only 2 that you ever said that you actually had an argument to say that about.
Okay.
So that right now I've given you top 5.
I just don't think Steph Curry is a top 10 player of all time right now.
Well, we'll see, and I think that goes to Book's assertion that when you're adding players who are still
active, love Steph, I do, but
there's still his story isn't written. We don't know what kind of player Steph is going to be when he's an old man in the NBA. We don't know what the Warriors are going to be now that there's been a power shift with Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard, switching teams and going out there to LA. So there are a lot of things that impact the other players as well. If Steph wins another championship, what are we going to say?
But it shouldn't matter.
Can I
just
get
the
Steph
fact
to be
he's
Finals
been to 5
MVP?
and won 3. Like come on.
and I'm not taking it
He's
away
done
from
that.
him. But all those guys we done talked about. Akeem done won Finals MVP. Kobe done won Finals. Shaq done won Finals
but
MVP.
you can't control that. That's a vote.
And so that's why
I can't control who votes for me. I can control if we win or not.
You're right. I'm just all right. Okay.
We'll see.
All
I
right.
think I agree with Book on this one that it's difficult when you have players that are still playing and still writing their legacy as opposed to guys who have done it, been done, and now trying to compare who's, to Houston's point, who's got to move because eventually there's always going to be somebody better as time goes along. So we'll see, but it does spark conversation. I'm with you, B-Dog. First of all, if you got some Hall of Famers' names misspelled, we got to go home. What are we doing here? At least take your time to get that right.
Robertson.
Grammar matters. Spelling matters. You need to
quickly,
get that 12-year-old, that 12th grader off doing stuff and get a grown-up to do it.
Stan Van Gundy, a highly entertaining character when he was a coach, would answer anything that you asked him. Very good to cover him. Now he's been hired by TNT. I think a good personality. He's not afraid to make an opinion. He's not afraid to ruffle little feathers. And his basketball mind and his entertainment value makes him a good hire, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
Part of Turner Sports.
Yeah, I mean, watching him when he was with ESPN, Stan provided great insight. I think I like his brother a little better. I think his brother's a little bit more animated. Listening to him on the sideline with Mark Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff has always been the more animated, even just animated coach throughout his career. But Stan is cool.
Stan is great. I want to see who they're actually going to pair him up with on sidelines and stuff because that's what's going to make the magic. Because that's what's so great about Jeff and Mark. You have two basically opposite personalities. And so it meshes well. So
I like Stan Gundy. I've always liked Stan Van Gundy. I think on TV he reminds me. I think a comparable TV personality to compare him to would be he's kind of like the NBA's version of a Rex Ryan on ESPN.
Good call.
I think that's what he can grow into. Good personality. Good coach as well, make the transition over there. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what he pulls off.
Controversial stuff.
Exactly,
too.
he'll hit you with some stuff that
like
man, I can't believe he said that. But then he'll hit you with some good stuff that hits the mark too. So
yeah, it's another good coach turn personality. Provides great insight on another great network. So I'm looking forward to it.
Does he ever coach again? Does he want to coach again? Is this officially letting that kind of sell off?
I think he may be done with coaching. I really do. I think when's the last time he coached?
It was Orlando, wasn't it?
No, Detroit.
Yes.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, and that wasn't it. Yeah.
I think he's done.
He was just there with what's it called? What's the light skinned boy?
Blake Griffin?
Yeah.
Light skin, boy.
I think he's done. I don't know if he ever wants to coach again. I think they may be paying him some good money over there.
I think he don't want to deal with the headache of all these players at this point in time because they all seem to be divas, and he had the biggest one of all, the clown of Dwight Howard, and I think at this point he's like, y'all don't listen, so let me just go talk about y'all.
Hey, it is what it is.
Lastly, old school style of competition comes to a new school platform as Shaq Diesel. Shout out to the fine folks at Shaq Food Radio.
Why you
The Diesel.
He prefaced it with that first.
The Diesel.
These are our folks.
These are our people. Yes, they are.
Strike hard, strike fast.
These are
is
my
what
people.
we saw as Diesel came out with a diss track. Dame Dollar, Damian Lillard from the Portland Trail Blazers, who's done some rapping before, and both of these guys are artists. Both of these guys take great pride and pleasure in their talent and skill sets. And I will say, my opinion is I thought Shaq's rap was better, and I like Dame Lillard's flow and his track a little bit better. But Shaq was very clear and got it all out. So if I had to vote, I would go with old school on this one. I'm the old head in the room. But it turned out to be fun, and Dame Lillard responded quickly. First of all, what does everybody think about the scenario in and of itself? And two, did Dame Lillard respond too quickly? Should he have let this marinate for a minute and then wait a week, wait 2 weeks, wait a month?
First of all, what I found extremely interesting was two athletes as rappers they seem to have a completely different type of mindset with this type of thing. I've never heard Shaq rap as good as he rapped on that song. I've never heard Damian Lillard rap as good as I heard him rap on that song. So I think the fact that these are athletes and they brought the best out of each other says something about it. I got to give the slight edge to Damian Lillard, though, man. His flow, they both had bars, they both had punches, but Dame, like, his delivery it's just smooth, man. I got to give the nod to Dame on round one. Hopefully, just round one.
I don't think you're gonna get a round two, but for this argument purpose, yeah, I'm gonna go get off top. I'm with Dame. This man, what did he say? He said, "You said I'm in a Tesla, so I don't need diesel no more." Like, come on, he got bars.
Plenty of, like, take your pick. like he can't. Bro, real talk.
He came at him hard.
I listened to 40 seconds and had to turn it off. I said, I can't listen to this in the office. I got to leave and listen to this later. He's killing him out the back.
I'll put it like this: Shaq, it was very concise. It was to the point, and I understood every word as I was going through it, so I only had to really listen to it once to understand what was going on. Dame, I had to play that thing. 30 seconds in, I played it back like, hold on, what'd he say there? Hold on, what'd he say there? hold on, what'd he do? Ooh, I know that's your dude.
First off, what I'm going to say is... No. First off, what I'm going to say is both of them were well done.
Right, respect.
Well done, obviously different styles. I think Shaq's was more cinematic. It had the more just, and Jalen Rose said it best himself. I was watching him and Jalen Jacoby the other day. He said both of their raps are kind of a reflection of their game. Shaq's was more of a boom, I'm gonna dunk on you, I'm gonna bang on you, tough guy stuff. Dame's was more smooth,
kind of finesse, like,
I'm gonna cut you. You're gonna have a death of 1,000 cuts, type of thing. So I do agree with that. I am going to be I'm going to be objective here in what I'm about to say. I give the slight edge to Dame. The reason why is because I do think his flow was a little better. It sounded a little more effortless in his flow. And I'm sitting there like...
There were a few words on Shaq that, yeah, you could tell like he was trying to fit stuff in where Dame was like,
because I was over it when I found out about it. I went straight to book. I said, bro, he dropped it because we were waiting on it that morning. He was like, bro, it's out. So I was listening to it, and that's when he heard the first 30. He said, bro, cut it off. I got to listen to it. I can't listen to that here. So, and I listened to it about 3 or 4 times after I saw you.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting, you saw my face.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's when I knew it was fire. When I saw your face, that's when I knew he was snapping.
And I think that beat is an original beat of his.
Yeah, that's what he went production and all that stuff by off of his stuff.
Both were really good. I'm gonna give the slight edge to Dame because of just the wordplay and the flow. It was just kind of like he was just floating. Just naturally just floating.
Home team, you want a round two?
I want one.
Well, Dame said he's done. He said he's going to
I didn't hear that
focus on the season and getting ready for training camp. He said he's done.
Okay.
And so he wanted to do that so he didn't have to worry about that throughout training camp. And he said that he and Shaq don't have any personal beef. That they're still
I hope not. I hope not.
I'm glad that it was 2 different generations where they could go at it, let the people decide, let them say what they had to say, and then they can go away without any negative residual effect.
I love it.
And Dame wants to let y'all know he's a kisser, not a disser.
Oh, that was so lame. He would have been better off just answering no. I hope Shaq gives me a round 2 and he uses that clip right there. Like, oh, you're a kisser, not a disser. Huh? Okay. Let's run with that.
I want a round 2 as well, but because basketball season is about to start, I think Dame. I wish this would have happened earlier in the summer to where we could get 3, maybe 4 rounds out of this.
I wish,
but because we're about to start basketball season. He's in practice now. I don't know if he necessarily has the time.
Yeah, he's focused on trying to navigate through the Western Conference, see if he can get his team to a championship level. And so this was fun. I just like the fact that he got it done quickly. He got what he needed to say out. Shaq showed that he still has the skills. Shaq is a platinum recording artist, so he's not just a basketball player who's rapping. He's also a rapper who's been highly decorated by the facts. So I thought it was a good thing that they could just walk away and there are no hard feelings.
But the fact that Shaq said you'll never be Westbrook, you'll never be Steph Curry, I was like, oh boy.
See, that's where you know he was just being cinematic. Like where Dame, everything Dame said was straight up like a fact.
I mean, Damian Lillard.
But okay, let me ask you this question. Depending on who you're talking to,
like
some people may not think he'll ever be Steph Curry.
But honestly, to me, I'd rather have Dame than Steph Curry.
But that's you.
So like, I don't want to be Steph Curry. Like to me, if I'm Dame, I'm like, I don't want to be Steph Curry. I don't want to be Westbrook. I want to be Dame. I feel like I'm better than both of them. So what are you saying?
That's true. But at the same time, that's still a bar was kind of like
it's a bar,
because a lot of people
that's a nanny boo boo bar, bruh.
Okay,
that was probably one of the hardest bars out of both songs. Though
It wasn't though. It was to me that was low hanging fruit to me. Like you picking the guy who's been winning MVPs and the guy who's been winning championships. Like okay, I get it. But Dame said he got $250 million. He said, I don't remember you getting that when I was on my bike.
Bro, they weren't handing that out then. That's low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. And
but that's low-hanging fruit as well. They weren't giving that out then. It's a different league.
No, because he's saying that because of what Shaq is saying in the beginning. Like, yo, I got all this money. He's like, bro, you got that off of endorsements and stuff, so go do that. Like, you ain't do that in the game. I did that just in the game. Bro. Thank you for paving the way and making it to where I could make this guap. Hulu has live sports on your behind, but
at the same time, you're not gonna have a diss between these two without both of them finding some low hanging fruit because both of them use
that's what this is all. Exactly what this is all.
You find some facts, you insult people.
I feel like Dame's
stretch the truth just a tad bit,
and
make it entertaining.
I love Shaq. I feel like Dame's low hanging fruit was way better, way sweeter, way sweeter.
Okay, but so it's all low hanging fruit. So even with the whole you never be Westbrook, never be Steph Curry, people can look at it and be like, you know what? I don't think he can ever be Steph Curry. That might be some truth. It's just an opinion that some people may have. Yeah. So,
Well, that'll do it for this episode 34 of the Drop Step Podcast, Shaq Food Radio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We thank them. We'll be back next time. Training camps will be underway and preseason games will be underway. I like the fact that NBA is starting earlier to give the players rest throughout the course of the season. We'll get into that and as well as get into some of these early season matchups because maybe the start of the season will help a lot of teams make it to where they want to be at the end of the season. For Book the Hook, for Houston and Brandon Harper, the B-Dog home team. We'll see you next time here on the Drop Step Podcast.
We out.
Already. Hey, y'all, we got plenty of ways for y'all to check us out, so make sure that you go subscribe on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or even Shaq Food Radio, which plays our podcast every Wednesday and Saturday night. You can also check us on the YouTube channels for the Drop Set Podcast, 680 The Fan, and Atlanta Sports Set. Last but not least, make sure you check out the Drop Step on IG, Twitter, and Facebook.